Good evening. Welcome to Sports Weekend on i24 News. Live from the Duff Report, I'm Merav Seville. On our show today, we are halfway through the Sochi Olympics, and Bodie Miller made history by claiming the bronze. Bayern Munich is untouchable in the Bundesliga. Homosexuality in sports, can they and will they ever mix? And the NBA All-Star Weekend is in full swing in New Orleans, but it's not really what it used to be. Joining me for the show today are i24 News sports analyst Jonathan Regev, our winter sports expert Wendy Rody, and our Twitter extraordinaire Michal Divon. Hi, guys.
Hey, hi, good evening.
And Danny Swibel will be joining us later on, but we begin today with Sochi. Bodie Miller won a share of the bronze medal today in the men's Super G, making him the oldest Olympic alpine skiing medalist. He's 36 years old. It was an emotional day for Miller, who was thinking of his younger brother, a snowboarder who died of a seizure last year. Wendy, he's now made Olympic sports history, but he's aging. And how do these aging athletes keep up with the younger, newer models and somehow still make it to the podium?
Well, I think when you're someone like Bodie Miller and you're in your 5th Olympics, certainly you must be able to dig down deep and access those feelings of what it was like all these times.
For years.
So there's a certain amount of competitive maturity, I think, that comes with that. And I think actually it might even be harder for the younger athletes to stand there and say, wow, I'm competing against Bodie Miller. Like maybe it makes them nervous. You know?
And obviously the gold and silver medalists are, 10 years younger than him? And
yes.
But how do they keep up? How do aging athletes, what do they have to do to really be able to stand on the podium as a bronze medalist?
Well, I think they draw from their experience and they keep pushing. They're dedicated, and if this is something that they want to stick with, then they do it however they can.
And obviously, the most exciting part of this weekend is possibly the U.S.-Russia hockey game, which drew everybody's headlines. It was absolutely incredible. And how do we go? It really brought back a rivalry that dates back to the Cold War.
Well, perhaps. I think that the Cold War feeling was maybe in the air and not so much on the ice, because these are NHL players. In the NHL, if you drop your gloves, you're going in the penalty box. You're going to get
and they enjoy their fighting.
But
in
the Olympics, you drop your gloves, you're suspended permanently. Get out. That's it. So I think it wasn't such a.
So you felt it more in the crowds than anything else.
Yeah, I think it was on our minds, not their minds.
Exactly. And these guys obviously play together in the NHL. How do they
share locker rooms.
Exactly. How do they come into this atmosphere? And that's it. They're just friends. Yeah. And you have to forget all that when you
I think
step on the ice.
They want to represent their countries as best as possible. It's the Olympic Games. Everyone's excited to be there, but certainly they have to be friends afterwards if they play together.
Well, Wendy, thank you very much.
Thanks for
having me. And obviously with every sporting competition, we've got a little bit of a scandal. So we're coming to you, Michal. Some risque pictures surfaced.
That's right. Every time there's nudity involved, it's probably going to go viral. So
and it absolutely did
and
this
it
time
did.
around.
Jackie Chamoun, Lebanese alpine skier, had her pictures from 3 years ago released. And guess what? She does not regret it. The first tweet is Olympic skier, no regrets for nude pictures, although it did get her into trouble.
And this is actually the picture.
This is the picture. Now, I'll read a few tweets that came along, which are very interesting. First of all, there's a group called I Love Lebanon because we have young, talented people like Jackie Chamoun, full support. And this is amazing to see that, she's getting criticism from the Lebanese government. But she's getting tons of support. And there's a whole campaign. She has her own hashtag.
And what other tweets have we seen about
it? For Jackie. We have these tweets. The naked truth is always better than the best dressed lie. Jackie Chamoun, we support you. And here's an example of what other people are doing, undressing too. Shane McConkey did it, strip for Jackie.
So she's actually got it. There we go. That is a very interesting one.
It's a very interesting one. And guess what? This stirred worldwide reaction. This is a Canadian skier.
These are very old photos, actually.
These are 3 years old. But it's, for some reason, it was released now, and people are getting millions of reactions coming from all over the world. And in Lebanon, it's become almost like a feminist campaign saying, you know what? We're free to be who we are.
We're taking feminism.
But at the same time, a lot of people are also saying, she's a great athlete. So these nude pictures.
Michal, thank you very much for these. And now we're moving on to football. Bayern Munich has won 13 matches in a row in the Bundesliga. And Jonathan, that statistic alone can make them your top of the week, but there's so much more to them.
I don't think we've ever seen in the European football a team so dominant. There's no Champions League for the past 2 months. The break that is finally going to end this week. But they've been very dominant in the Champions League, in the Bundesliga, in the German Cup. You name it, they'll win it.
They're making it look very easy.
Exactly. Just take the past week. They won 4-0 against Freiburg yesterday. Those are the images we're seeing. That's at the Allianz Arena. They won 5-0 in the German Cup in midweek. No one seems to stop them. If I were Arsenal, that's going to meet them in the Champions League on Wednesday, I would be worried.
And actually, their captain, Philipp Lahm, has come out and said Arsenal may be their biggest fear right now. So what should we expect on Wednesday between them?
Yes, the difference is that in the Bundesliga, they hold a 16-point lead over second place Leverkusen. So there's no danger, even if they lose a game or two, which they probably will not. But even if they do, no worries. Their lead is very big. The games against Arsenal, that's a 2-game knockout. So and Arsenal is a very strong team. So yes, they should be worried because it's a 2-game knockout. If something goes wrong, they'll be out of the Champions League. I don't think that will happen.
It's not going to happen. In the Bundesliga, they're completely untouchable.
I mean, the last time they lost in the Bundesliga is back.
Back in 2013.
Sometimes that's a tie. I don't remember when they lost. That's in prehistory in the 20th century.
Moving on to your flop, it's pretty much anybody who's made it to the top of the
It's incredible what's happening there. Arsenal was on top, then they get thrashed by Liverpool and make a tie against Manchester United. Then Manchester City was on top. We just said what a brilliant team they are. They lost at home to Chelsea. Chelsea are on top. They lose 2 points in West Brom. And who was the best?
And all of this is actually making way for Liverpool.
Exactly, Liverpool. Everybody thought their dreams were gone. Well, guess what? They won 2 games. They haven't been to the top for a long time. Maybe that's the secret, not be on top.
And you make your way, and absolutely. We're all having a lot of fun watching them beat each other up on top.
So 2 weeks before the season ends, don't find yourself at the top. Then that's your chance of making it.
And then you'll sneak right in there. Jonathan, thank you very much.
Thank you, Rob.
And now we move to our sports news in brief. French Olympic champion Renaud Lavillenie broke Sergei Bubka's 21-year-old pole vault world record. The 27-year-old leapt to a height of 6.16 meters, 1 centimeter higher than Bubka did indoors back in 1993, and he accomplished this on his first attempt. But Bubka still holds the outdoor record of 6.14 meters, which he set back in 1994. The horn sounded and 64,000 runners set out to complete the Hong Kong Marathon earlier today. Ethiopian runners Gemeda Feyere and Rogele Rehima Kedir swept the event, winning the men and women's races. Feyere finished in 2 hours and 15 minutes. Kedir finished in 2 hours and 34 minutes, beating 2-time winner Misiker Demisi. And Gazan Arab Idol winner Mohamed Asaf was supposed to sing the opening song for this summer's World Cup in Brazil. But Asaf announced he was banned from participating, saying certain groups or countries protested his participation. Colombian superstar Shakira, who sang the song for the opening of 2010 in South Africa, says she will now boycott because of Asaf's non-participation. All-American linebacker from Missouri and draft prospect Michael Sam announced he is a proud, openly gay man, sparking major discussions about sexuality in sports, and specifically about sports culture and locker room antics. Danny, you're joining us now, and I want to start off with his draft prospects. Everybody's already saying he must have dropped from first round, second round, down to 5th or 6th just from this.
I like to think that it's not going to be affected. I mean, listen, now in the NFL, there is young general managers. So hopefully, they have a little bit of more of an open-minded view of things. It's less old-fashioned.
And they've actually come out and they said that, I believe it was Sports Illustrated, talked to a bunch of general managers who say, yeah, he hurt himself by doing this.
I don't think anybody will specifically go out and say, yes, we are lowering the draft, we're lowering his prospects.
They did it all anonymously. Obviously, they're not willing to fess up to it themselves.
I think what will happen is that nobody maybe perhaps wants to deal with some of the controversy. Maybe it's not the bigotry that'll put him further down, but it's that people don't want the drama coming to their team and coming to their locker room, which is sad because it will maybe have that effect then.
Denny or Jonathan, is there a place for sexuality in sports, homosexuality in sports?
Of course there is, but then you've got to remember this is a macho world, a very, very masculine world.
Especially the NFL.
Especially the NFL. And yeah, maybe Jason Collins, the NBA player that came out a few months ago, maybe that also was not that also was not very smooth. That also created the
It made
controversy.
a rocky situation for him this season.
Exactly. Now you look at NFL, a much more physical sport. I mean, football, it's a problem. And
But hasn't he shown playing in college sports he's macho enough for this?
Well, I would say 90 to 95% of the NFL players, I believe, will be accepting of him. But the concern is that those 5% who aren't, who are scared or immature to walk around the locker room in the same way they would before, that could make, a little tension in the locker room. That's what we ideally hope will not happen.
And quickly,
don't forget the fans. Don't forget the fans. What they're gonna be chanting. I mean, you come to a sports hall. People are going to chant a whole lot of things, and maybe some teams they say, you know what? We don't want that. We don't want that around us. Let some other people have it.
But then again, fans have also come out in support of him, and other players have come out in support of him and said, you know what, it's not what he does on the outside, it's what he does on the field. And he's obviously All-American. He was supposed to be a first or second round draft pick, and it's a big controversy that he just caused, and I don't know, cause is the right word, but it's definitely something we need to look into and wait to see where he gets drafted.
I think the NFL is evolving, and I feel it has a little more liberal attitudes towards a lot of things. So I like to think that the way they handle it, they'll handle it as well as possible, and it'll be just a small story of a new NFL season coming up.
And Michal, what have people been saying about this on Twitter?
Well, obviously a lot of reactions, and I just have to say it's ridiculous because it seems like the gay topic is always something different in the sports world. There's the modern world and there's the sports world. So the first one is, if Michael Sam is not drafted in the first round, we all know why, don't we? And this is exactly what you were saying.
It exposes this homophobia in the NFL.
It does. And, playing in the NFL is his foremost goal. And he would be the first NFL player to be openly gay. What do you have to say for yourselves about this, huh? This is crazy. Our second one is, women athletes are better with the gay issue. Did anyone really bat an eye when Brittany Griner came out, or Cheryl Swoops?
And that's a really big deal. Obviously, you
It's a
see
big
people
deal.
are much more critical of. People are very critical of male athletes, but
Look,
not women athletes. And where does this come from? Is there?
Where does it come
It's
from?
the masculinity of sport. It's seen as a man thing, and homosexuality is not seen as a man thing. I don't want to go back to a harsh word such as primate, but when men go to sports, they see it as a man thing.
Whereas women are seen as heroes. You've got
It's
Abby
really
Wambach,
unfortunate.
women's soccer history.
And guys, they don't want to be a symbol. Sam wants to be respected for his sport, not be this gay idol. Why can't it be that way for both sexes?
Michal, thank you very much. And we're moving on to the NBA. All-Star Weekend kicked off on Friday, putting the top of the NBA on display. And Danny, it's a city that's not very much a basketball city.
There's a lot of other sports going on in New Orleans, the Big Easy. Yes, the NBA is not as a big of a thing. They're fighting to keep their team going, the Pelicans, and they do have a little bit of nostalgia when they were there in 2008, when it was the rebuilding process for the hurricane that had happened there.
But it's more of a who dat football nation. We've all seen that. But on display already on Friday, we saw the rookies and sophomores, and they really shunned.
It was really exciting. Andre Drummond was spectacular. I mean, he was playing like lightning. He was ferocious. I won't say he played lights out because I know your mom will make fun of me. He was on top of his game. He pulled down 24 rebounds, 14 of them offensive. It was
And he
incredible.
doesn't just do this at the All-Star game. This is something he's done all season long, and I've actually had the chance to watch him play for the season last year. He's incredible for a sophomore.
He didn't get the Rookie of the Year last year. He was in the shadows. And it's really sad. And also, even when he won the MVP for the game, they dropped the MVP trophy. This guy always gets a second-class treatment. So.
But he was surrounded by these great rookies and sophomores, Deion Waiters, and Tim Hardaway Jr. also had.
That was an amazing interplay between them at the end. Those two must have scored, I believe, like 20-something points back-to-back. They were just taking each other on. It wasn't like they were even playing on the teams at the end. They were going back and forth, hitting threes, hitting amazing shots.
But moving on, tonight is the All-Star game, and has it lost its shine? It used to be this great thing that people look forward to, and now it's kind of, it's the All-Star game.
I want to be like 63rd annual All-Star game, woo! But I'm unfortunately not as excited because
Do you remember what it's like when Larry Bird faced Magic Johnson or Isaiah against Magic?
It's
Michael
never
Jordan.
going to be that again.
It's not going to be that again. Listen, there's no defense in these games. These guys play for nothing. They don't want to get hurt. There's no incentive for them to put on a performance.
It's the unofficial dunk contest by the players who won't join the dunk contest.
That's right. I mean, if they made it worthwhile, like if you had a win, you could go to get home field advantage, or if you got money or some sort of incentive to go out there there and play with your heart. These guys just want to showboat and
they're taking it easy and they're having fun,
right.
which it is very nice to see these guys who usually play against each other have fun with one another. But it's also, as a fan, it's lacking something.
It is. The final score will probably be 160 to 158 the East. I mean, that's a ridiculous high score.
Willing to put money on that? Because last time you gave us a score,
my commentary is usually spot on. My commentary is spot on. That's why I don't like to predict scores. That's why we can tell that this score will be above 150
What
each.
would the Broncos fans say about what you just said, Danny boy?
Offense is the right. Defense wins the game. All right? Defense wins the game. There's no defense in this game.
So no one's going to win. Guys, thank you very much. And that's all for us today. For the latest sports news, you can find us online, i24news.tv, our Facebook page, or our Twitter pages. And you can tweet at us at i24News Sports. We'd love to hear from you on there. From all of us here on Sports Weekend, I'm Mirav Savil. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you right back here next Sunday.